A warning to the middle class and below.
Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well out there. I just want to first start off and say thank you guys so much for, always showing me love and support. And shout out to all my subscribers. I know that, in the grand scheme of things in the YouTube world, 8,000 subscribers isn't that much at all. But I
That's a
never
lot.
forget,
That's a
anybody who
lot.
hits that subscribe button, it's another human being that's watching my video. Somebody, who's also on this crazy journey we call life, who also has a unique story. So I never forget that. So thank you guys so much. And if you haven't subscribed, I would go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I got a lot of awesome content coming out. All right, so let's get into today's video. So, I just want to first start off and say that, it is more important than ever. It is imperative that we always seek the truth, because there's so much, misinformation being thrown at us, information with an agenda behind it. And seeking the truth is more important than ever. The truth will help us make better decisions for our future and for the direction of our country. Because not too long ago, we were told that there's a certain list, and on this list it names, a lot of rich, famous, elite people that visited a certain destination, that did a lot of evil and things you can't even imagine to underage teenagers.
Yeah, where's the list? Where is it? Oh, yeah, there was none, right?
Boys and girls. And I was so hopeful. I was like, yes, finally, let's go. Let's bring these people to justice, and let's, bring an end to all this corruption. But then what were we told shortly thereafter? What list? It was just all a hoax. And, the list doesn't even exist now. And
It's all made up.
and you have another group of people, that come here for, well, a majority of them come here for a better life. But they're being hunted like animals, but this group, absolutely nothing's going to happen to them. So, and I'm really sorry. I used to be one of the people that thought if you're, if you came here legally, you shouldn't be here because it's unfair to the people that did come here legally. But if the law doesn't apply to this group, it shouldn't apply to this group as well. So welcome to the United States. The hypocrisy makes me just so angry. And on top of that, we were also told, that we're going to.
It's kind of like that. Like, if we're not going to follow the rules, let's just burn it all down mentality. I think a lot of people are like this. Yeah, if we're not going to follow the rules, what the fuck are we doing here? Let's accelerate the issue. Let's burn it all down. I think a lot of people have given up and they're just like, let's just bring it to shit. Because the only way you can effectively fix the problem is by burning the shit all down.
Balance the budget. We're going to cut, our country is in massive debt. We're going to cut the debt, cut wasteful government spending. But I haven't heard anything about Doge in the last 1 or 2 months. Whatever happened to that? And on top of that, I remember we were told that, all wars are going to end. And, on day one, but yet here we are, bombing, certain specific sites, to a country in the Middle East. And how can we be certain that that's all they're doing? I have no way. I don't think the average American, really knows what's going on. We're just being told, hey, we just hit a specific site. That was it. But how do we really, really know that that is what happened?
We don't. We really don't. We know so little. We only know what propaganda and narrative they're trying to push. We don't really know what the hell's going on. We just know that the dollar's going to shit and the government has to print money. They print money for everything. And it's sick.
And what I'm trying to say is that these are the people that are telling us that inflation is only 2.7%. That from May, it was 2.4%, but in the month of June, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that the inflation rate only ticked up 0.3% to 2.7%. But if you look at it with your own eyes, you know that that's...
It's cumulative. It's cumulative. The way they tell you what the inflation rate is a lie. They say, oh, the inflation rate is down 0.2% month over month. So it was 2.9% last month, and now it's 2.7%. So inflation went down. But it's all cumulative. Every single year, it all accumulates. And during COVID times, it was at 9%, 8%, 7%. It spent like a whole year way high. And now that we're down to 2.9 and we went down to 2.7, inflation is not down. All that inflation from the past year was accumulated, and it stays. It stays with you. You get all of that inflation. You've only changed 0.2 on the rate of inflation. So inflation is still going up at 2.7%. It's just not going up as much. Hardly.
Not the case. And if you look further into the report, which I have right here, I'm even seeing that inflation is starting to become a problem again.
Oh, it is.
So according to the report, eggs year over year, it's up 27.3%. Roasted coffee, and I know a lot of us drink coffee, it's up 12.7%. Uncooked beef steaks, I love steaks, but it's up 12.4% year over year. Chewing gum, 8%. Other foods away from home, it's up 4.6%. And I see it with my own eyes. I don't want to admit it, but I love McDonald's, and I get the McBiscuit, hash browns, and a coffee almost every morning. And it was around $5.41, and now just a couple days ago or last week, it jumped up to $6.20. And college textbooks, I think, which are a ripoff, but they're up 10.2% year over year. Motor vehicle insurance is up 6.1%, and I can even see my own insurance going up. I used to pay about $185 a month, but it jumped up to $192 just starting last month. And I've been in 0 accidents, 0 speeding tickets in the last 10 years.
Insurance is a huge fucking scam too. I think I bundled all mine, home and auto and shit, and I got a half decent rate, but yeah.
Tuition for daycare, I know a lot of people send their kids to daycare, that's up 5.5%. And something that affects us all, utilities, is up 14.2%. So as you guys can see, inflation is starting to go back up and become a problem again. And
I said this a few weeks ago or some shit. Like, the government spending is back. The national debt ceiling limit was just raised. The debt ceiling, $5 trillion. And they've only spent $500 billion so far. So we got $4.5 trillion to spend before we give a shit about spending money again. Yeah.
I just want to warn you guys that it's going to get a lot worse. For the first time in our country's history, the interest that we pay on the national debt, which is at around $37 to $38 trillion, is the number one expenditure, that the U.S. government pays. That's more than the federal, our military budget, as well as the entitlements that we pay to United States citizens.
That's wild. More than the military budget. You could have 2 militaries like we do, but no. We have to pay interest on debt. You could have 2 militaries. You can have 2, but instead you have 1 plus the debt. How efficient.
And I believe that the only way that we can, that the government can make these payments is by printing more and more money by the Federal Reserve Bank. And when, throughout history, when we see the Federal Reserve, print more money and put it into circulation, inflation always explodes and goes a lot higher. So guys, I just want to warn you guys that inflation is going to be a bigger problem down the road.
It's coming back.
And I did receive some comments, Def, it seems like, a lot of the things you talk about are doom and gloom. But, I tell it like it is.
Because it is.
That our country's already in, a deep recession or a depression.
100%. What do you think my dumb ass is on YouTube? You think I'm here for shits and giggles? You think I'm doing this for fun? You think all these people online that are trying to become something are doing it for fun? It's out of desperation. There's nothing left for me to do. I've done every fucking gig app. I've done every job. I can't get promoted. I can't get another job. It's not working out. I'm in the red month over month. People are in the red month over month. People can see that it's all, you're going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to blow it. And now I'm here. Everyone's online. Everyone's here. Everybody who can see that they're not going to make it is now online trying to do this too, because you have to. Any logical person arrives at this conclusion. Like, holy fuck, I have to work nonstop all day, and I'm going to have to post something online. I have to post something online. Because if I don't, I'm for sure fucked. Either way, you're fucked. But you have to try something. You have to go down swinging. And this is it. This is what we're doing. Talking into the mic. I think it's no longer put the fries in the bag. It's talk into the microphone. Idiot. Here. Get your microphone and talk into it, dumbass. This is what it is. This is the new put the fries in the bag. Because we're desperate. People don't work at McDonald's because they like to. People are fucking desperate. And now people are on the internet doing this because they're desperate, like me.
And I believe the data, shows
And it's
that
embarrassing.
the economy isn't doing so well. So according to the Federal Reserve economic data, the number of multiple job holders jumped 282,000 for the month of June 2025. And our country currently has the most multiple job holders ever in its history, with 8.87 million Americans having to work multiple jobs just to stay afloat and just to be able to, afford the cost of living. How sad is that you have?
That's me, and I can't even afford it. I can't even afford it. And there's a lot of people like me who can't afford it. They can see it. They can see they can see the math. It's not working. And now they're on the internet. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. They're posting on YouTube. This is the last this is the last stand. This is the last shot. How sad is that? Not only is everybody going to fail, but you get to watch it. You get to watch it online, probably. Because YouTube is a gig app. YouTube is a gig app. It's just a different one. It's a weird one, but it's a gig app. Good luck, everybody.